Okay, hello guys. Today topic is about the midpoint of a line segment. Okay, so let's move to the first slide about this chapter. Okay, so first of all, what is a midpoint? Okay, so maybe in your daily life you'll find a lot of midpoint, right? Okay, you'll find there's a segment, and maybe here is a midpoint in the center, right? Okay. Also, you can find where you're like an architecture, you're doing some architectural work, and you'll find that maybe here you have to design what is a midpoint and to find the best maybe best position for some architecture structure, right? Okay. So for here, we always consider that maybe here if we have a point, 2 point A and B, maybe here is A and B, okay? And then we can find the midpoint C, okay? So C, you can find this at the very center of this, okay? So we can just write it as XA plus XB over 2. Here is also for YA plus YB over 2, okay? That is a midpoint, okay? And how we can calculate this, okay? So first of all, you can find here. Maybe we can just understanding from the first dimension about the average concept, okay? Maybe you have two scores, okay? Maybe for the first test and second test is 60 and 80, okay? So if you want to find the average or the middle score, you can use like 60 plus 80 over 2, right? And you'll find that this value equals to 140 over 2 equals to 70, right? Okay, so means that 70 is a midpoint or mid value above or amount in the 80 and 60, right? Okay. So what about the x coordinate? Okay, so like here we can find maybe we have 2 point AB and A's coordinate is x1, y1 and B's coordinate is x2, y2. Okay, so first of all we can say maybe from the x coordinates views we can say we can choose x1 plus x2 over 2 as our midpoint. Okay, and also we can say maybe y1 plus y2 over 2 is also the midpoint. Okay. So maybe here you can find the midpoint is x1 plus x2 over 2 and y1 plus y2 over 2. Okay. So that is very important because this is two dimensions, okay? First is x, we have to choose a middle value, and y also we choose a middle value, okay? So how can we find it? Like here, maybe for example, we have the 2 point p equals to 3 and negative 4, and q is 9, 10, okay? So if you want to find the midpoint, you can first just using the formula like 3 plus 9 over 2, that you can find the value as 12 over 2, a equals to 6, okay? If you want to find the y value for the midpoint, you can say is 94 plus 10 over 2 is 6 over 2 equals to 3. Okay, so here you can find the coordinate as 6, 3 of the midpoint M. Okay, that is a mid value. Okay, and also here's another example. Like if we know the midpoint EMS and we also know another point, maybe here we have A is 2, 5 and M is 6, 7. Okay, so you want to find another point B, X, Y. You're just trying to use a formula. Like here is 2 plus X over 2 equals 6, right? And for the Y coordinate is F5 plus Y over 2 equals to 7, right? And you can solve what is the X, Y's value right here, right? So first, maybe here we can say x equals to 2 times 6 minus 2, and here is y equals to 2 times 7 minus 5, right? So here the x value equals to 10, and the y value here equals to 9, okay? So we can say the midpoint, oh, sorry, another point is 10, 9, okay? That is how we can find this value. Okay, today's our lesson is very short, so maybe if you want to try it out yourself, you can just keep on going and pause the video, okay? But if you want to follow with me, you can also just trying to like solve the problems one by one with me together, okay? So let's move to the first question. Is find the midpoint of the line segment joining 410 and 12, 2, okay? So maybe in this question, you can say first we can to find the middle value for 4 plus 12 and 10 plus 2, okay? So maybe you can find the first value is 4 plus 12 over 2 and 10 plus 2 over 2, right? This value equals to 8 and this value equals to 6. So the midpoint here is 8, 6, right? That is the first problem. And the second problem is to find the midpoint of the line segment joining negative 3, negative 5, and 7, negative 1, right? Also the same method, like negative 3 plus negative 7 over 2. And here we can set as 10 plus 2 over 2, okay? That is it. And you can find here, this value is 95, and here, this value is 6, okay? That is 95, 6, okay? And for the third problem here, you can find M is a midpoint of AB, and A is 1, 4, M is 3, 8, and find the coordinate of B, right? So also the same method, like here, we can say 1 plus XB over 2 equals to 3. And 4 plus YB over 2 equals to 8, okay? So you can calculate that XB equals to 5 and YB equals to 12, okay? That is for this value, okay? So maybe here the midpoint is 5, 12, okay? And for the last problem is oh, maybe P and Q are from the diameter of the circle, right? And you find the center of the circle, okay? So you can just consider like here, this is a circle and this is a diameter. We knew that diameter must pass through the center of the circle, right? So maybe here you can find this is the midpoint, right? Because the center is maybe here is like distance equals to the radius away from the 2 point P and Q, right? So you can also consider like P and Q's center point is O, right? Okay, so maybe here you can just choosing the middle value. Like first you can just add in negative 2 plus 6. Okay, this value over 2, negative 2 plus 6 over 2 equals to maybe 2, right? And another is 1 plus 7 over 2, right? 7 over 2 equals to maybe here is 4, right? So the midpoint here equals to 2, 4, okay? So that is the coordinate of the central point, okay? Okay, so that's for today's lesson. So we have already all reviewed for how to call the midpoint. I hope this can help you to do some problems, okay? So that's for today's lesson. See you next time. Bye.